We have Thomas Edward writes, I'm a big fan of your show, and after watching Mailbag, you talked about how Marvel won't sell off their movie rights anymore, but could they just temporarily sell them for either a certain number of movies or a limited number of years, even if they just released a film and then the rights would revert back to Marvel? I think this could work, as you said. Marvel probably has no plans for Blade and Daredevil, and I'm sure Sony would love to have more heroes to add to its movies. Do you think this could work, and would it be a good idea?
Thanks a lot for the question, Thomas. No, this wouldn't work at all, and here's why. Let me give you, as I often fall back on, is a sporting analogy here, okay? Let's say you're the Toronto Raptors, my poor, terrible Toronto Raptors, and you've got some guy named Eddie Brown who's like, 5'1" and is just terrible. He's awful. And somebody says, well, hey, wait a minute. Let's trade Eddie Brown to the Miami Heat for LeBron James. And everybody in Toronto's like, yeah, that's a great idea. Why don't you make that trade? Well, why? Because Miami would never make that trade. In talking about, okay, well, what if Marvel just gives up the rights to, say, Blade for like 3 years and then get the rights back and just have it in the contract that the rights then automatically revert back? Yay, that's a great idea for Marvel because they weren't going to do anything with Blade in the next 3 years anyway. Great idea. Here's the problem. There's no studio that will sign that deal. Studios are in the business of trying to build franchises for the long haul. Every studio wants the next X-Men thing where they know they're going to get 12 movies out of it. No studio, like Universal, will not go, yeah, Marvel, we'll buy the rights to Blade that we only get for 3 years, and we'll invest into the character, and we'll develop him, and we'll make him popular, and then we'll just, after we put in all that work to develop this as a franchise, we will just hand it back to Marvel. That just won't happen. I mean, it's a great idea from Marvel's point of view. You're absolutely right, it is. But let's face it, if you were the other studio, would not make that deal. I would not make that deal. I don't think any studio in the right mind would make that deal. So I just can't see that happening. Amy Rose?
The only one it really benefits are the fans. That's it. Because
and Marvel. It would benefit Marvel.
Everything benefits Marvel. Kevin Feige knows what he's doing. But yeah, I mean, rights are such a tricky thing anyway, so the fact that it finally resorted back to them, they're not going to give it up anytime soon. And as you stated, especially with comic book films, they're trying to build a franchise. If they put all the love and intention, I mean, look what Sony has done with Spider-Man. Yeah. They're now expanding their universe. You think they'd be like, actually, you guys can take Venom, and we'll just do all the dirty work over here. And like, it just doesn't work that way. Rights are so tricky anyway, and that's why Marvel originally, when they sold it off, the characters to different studios, had it in, as a stipulation that if you don't make the film within this amount of years, that it resorts back to us. That's why they did that. They were very, very smart in crafting that out. So when they finally got it back, because it wasn't created, they're not going to give it back so easily. So I don't see it happening. In a dream world, it sounds great because I would love another Blade, but yeah, it's not going to happen.
Schnepp?
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot as far as the divvying up these rights. I mean, Marvel has been like in the business of getting their rights back. So. I mean, you're talking about Daredevil. There's like a Daredevil miniseries on Netflix coming out. That, to me, is a dream come true. I've wanted that to happen. And all these other like smaller characters are being put into television shows. You'd never see that if it was like, it wasn't a consortium of characters.
Look
like
at
Marvel.
Arrow.
Yeah, Marvel can just be like, all right, this is for TV, this is for movies. We'll try the Combino later, video game. So you're not going to get that if they give Blade to Universal. So, it just won't happen, and I don't see that happening in the future. I think Marvel's being really smart about what they're doing. And we benefit as fans from seeing, Sony, making all these extra Spider-Man films, or Fox really trying to push all the X-Men, because that's all they got. So they're really going to make X-Force. They might even make X-Static, please. Woo! I love X-Static. So, we'll benefit. Marvel has, I don't know, several thousand characters that they're readily waiting to be made into television shows and more specifically movies. So I don't see any problems. You don't have to worry about it. We'll get to all those characters, I'm sure. So
if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to AMC Movie News on YouTube. It's free and a great way to stay updated with all the latest movie news and check out our daily show, AMC Movie Talk. Also, don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Twitter to stay in the loop for our special prizes, giveaways, and contests.